Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 4 of February 2026. Haryana government has de-empanelled AU Small Finance Bank and IDFC First Bank from government business due to alleged fraudulent account openings. AU Small Finance Bank shares dropped over 6%. AU Small Finance Bank denies wrongdoing, stating all KYC checks were completed and transactions were initiated by the government department. IDFC First Bank's market capitalization plummeted by Rs 14,438 crore after Rs 590 crore fraud at its Chandigarh branch. Employees allegedly conducted unauthorized transactions in Haryana state government accounts, leading to a significant deposit balance discrepancy. IDFC Bank insists the incident is isolated and contained, but the Haryana government has de-empanelled the bank, signalling a loss of confidence. The Indian arms of the Big Four professional services firms, which have long been active in small and medium-sized M&A transactions, are making a determined move into $500 million plus M&A deals, an area where global investment banks traditionally dominated. A league table analysis of M&A transactions worth more than $500 million between October 2024 and October 2025 reveals that EY advised on 7 of them, PwC on 2 and Deloitte on 1. Google is significantly expanding its presence in Bengaluru's Whitefield, securing rights to approximately 2.6 million square feet at Alembic City. This move highlights the tech giant's sustained commitment to the region, with the landlord obligated to reserve additional office blocks exclusively for Google. India's Monetary Policy Panel unanimously decided to maintain the repurchase rate at 5.25%, deeming it appropriate amidst buoyant growth and benign inflation. This decision follows a US trade agreement that has boosted optimism for exceeding growth forecasts, with inflation expected to remain stable and external risks perceived as limited. India's data center capacity is projected to surge nearly six-fold from about 1.5 gigawatt in 2025 to 8 to 10 gigawatt by 2030, while electricity consumption from the sector is expected to rise sharply from 10 to 15 terawatt hours in 2024 to 40 to 45 terawatt hours by 2030. The rapid expansion will lift data centers' share in India's total electricity demand from 0.8% currently to as much as 2.5 to 3% by the end of the decade, positioning the sector among the fastest growing power consumers in the country. KKR & Co. has agreed to buy a majority stake in XCL Education Holdings Pte. In a deal that values the Southeast Asian school operator at about $1.3 billion. The company has K-12 school campuses across Southeast Asia, including XCL World Academy in Singapore, the American School of Bangkok's Sukhumvit campus, and Vietnam Australia International School. Its other shareholders, including Singapore state investor Temasek Holdings Pte. IDFC First Bank is currently delving into a potential Rs 590 crore fraud case linked to its Chandigarh branch. The alarm was raised when various departments within the Haryana government detected irregularities in their financial statements. This revelation has prompted a thorough investigation from multiple agencies, coupled with a comprehensive forensic audit. Private banks face potential deposit pressure after a fraud in Haryana government accounts at IDFC First Bank. Analysts predict a shift of low-cost CASA deposits to public sector banks, impacting their agency commission income. AU Small Finance Bank also saw a decline in Haryana government deposits following de-empanelment. Danish brewer Carlsberg is gearing up for a significant move in India. The company is reportedly preparing for a potential listing of its Indian operations. This offering could raise as much as $700 million. Banks have been appointed to advise on the proposed share sale. A filing could happen as early as May. Bharti Airtel is investing rupees 20,000 crore in its financial arm Airtel Money. This move aims to build a large digital lending platform. The company seeks to expand access to formal credit across India. Airtel Money received its NBFC license in February 2026. This expansion strengthens Airtel's financial services presence and addresses the credit gap. Kerala is set to transform its maritime sector with a rupees 2,000 crore logistics master plan at Vizhinjam International Seaport. The state government has signed agreements with Indian Oil Corporation, Container Corporation of India, and Central Warehousing Corporation. This initiative will establish bunkering facilities, rail-linked infrastructure, and a multimodal logistics park. According to the EY Future Payment Report, India Inc. anticipates a 9.1% salary increment in 2026, with global capability centers leading at 10.4%. Attrition is normalizing, though voluntary exits remain high. Organizations are increasingly adopting skill-based pay and sharpening performance-linked variable pay, while strategic use of long-term incentive plans is crucial for talent retention. The Supreme Court of India has issued notice to Meta over a proposed 5-year advertising ban on WhatsApp, following a recommendation by the Competition Commission of India. Earlier this month, the court criticized data sharing practices under the 2021 privacy policy and warned against the misuse of users' personal data. The matter is set for further hearing on April 19th. The Cheesecake Factory Bakery, the global bakery division associated with US-based The Cheesecake Factory, has entered India through a licensing partnership with Bengaluru-based The Gourmet Cafe, marking the iconic cheesecake brand's first foray into the country's fastest-growing premium dessert market. The Gourmet Cafe plans to invest an estimated $60 million to open 55 outlets across India over the next 4 to 5 years, with the business projected to clock rupees 200 to 250 crore in revenue within 5 years as it scales nationally. The first outlet has been launched in Bengaluru, with 3 to 6 additional stores planned in the city during 2026 before the brand expands into Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad. India's The Nifty IT Index plunged 21%. Fears of AI disrupting the traditional IT labor arbitrage model are driving this downturn, with analysts questioning the long-term growth prospects of major IT firms. Investors face a dilemma between beaten-down valuations and uncertain future fundamentals. US oil giant Chevron has made its first sale of Venezuelan crude oil to India's Reliance Industries. This marks the first time in about 6 years that Reliance has purchased Boscan crude, a heavy oil used in asphalt production. The deal was negotiated this month, signifying a notable development in oil trade between the two nations. India's new global networking rules for audit firms, aimed at boosting local players, have introduced stringent compliance and disclosure requirements. While allowing firms to join global networks, the norms mandate registration, appointment of a nodal officer, and arm's length dealings, causing disquiet among Big Four and consultancy houses. India's real estate sector is rapidly embracing AI to enhance luxury living and operational efficiency. From biometric access and predictive maintenance in homes to streamlining office design and improving construction cycles, AI is transforming how properties are discovered, evaluated, and managed, catering to a new generation of tech-savvy wealth creators. Tariff shock continues for India as the US Commerce Department announced anti-subsidy countervailing duties on solar cells and panels imported from the South Asian country. Other countries hit with similar solar import tariffs in the same announcement are Indonesia and Laos. According to the fact sheet posted on the US Department's website, India is now facing general subsidy rates of 125.87% for imports, while Indonesia and Laos have been hit with 104.38% and 80.67% tariffs respectively. Banks are confronting mounting liquidity pressures as loan portfolios expand faster than deposit bases. As a result, liquidity coverage ratios have weakened across a broad set of institutions. Even with abundant liquidity in the wider financial system, banks are struggling to bring in new deposits, pushing up near-term funding costs. Sales of Chinese smartphone brands Xiaomi, Oppo, OnePlus and Realme fell for the first time in India last fiscal year, as the mainstay entry to mid-level market shrank, with consumers increasingly gravitating towards premium handsets. Their performance pulled down the combined revenue of the 9 largest Chinese electronics firms operating in India by 4.5% in financial year 25. Shapoorji Pallonji Group is set to raise approximately Rs 25,000 crore through a bond issue. This fundraising effort, planned for early April, is expected to have a lower pricing than previous borrowings. Improved prospects for asset sales and a potential settlement regarding its stake in Tata Sons are boosting investor confidence. The International Monetary Fund or IMF urged the United States to reduce its growing fiscal deficit, stating it's the most effective method to lower the current account and trade deficits. The IMF projects US fiscal deficits to remain high, posing a growing stability risk to the global economy despite low sovereign stress risk. Maharashtra's Goods and Services Tax Department has initiated inspection and search proceedings at Lupin's registered office. The pharmaceutical giant stated that these actions will not impact its financials, operations, or other activities. Lupin recently reported strong Q3 financial year 26 growth with highest ever US sales and double-digit growth in India. Of its step-down subsidiary Reliance Enterprise Intelligence Limited or REIL, after completing a large share allotment worth Rs 853.20 crore. Following the share allotment, Reliance Intelligence Limited now holds a 70% stake in REIL, while Facebook Overseas owns the remaining 30%. With this transaction, REIL has ceased to be a step-down wholly owned subsidiary of Reliance Industries and will now function as a step-down subsidiary with Meta Platforms as a minority partner. Paid Forex card, issued in partnership with Book My Forex, were hit by a spate of fraudulent transactions in early hours of Monday, and transactions worth $280,000 were approved during the incident. The episode underscores the vulnerability of cross-border card transactions in markets where additional authentication layers are not mandatory, even as Indian banks continue to strengthen fraud detection frameworks amid rising digital payment volumes. Jane Street faces a lawsuit for alleged insider trading linked to the Terra USD and Luna collapse. The firm denies the claims, calling them a bid to extract money. This comes as Jane Street also faced market manipulation charges in India. The crypto collapse led to billions in investor losses, and Terraform Labs co-founder Do Kwon was sentenced to prison. National Stock Exchange of India Limited has invited banks to pitch for roles in its long-delayed IPO, signaling fresh momentum for one of India's biggest potential listings. The exchange, guided by Rothschild & Co., is moving to appoint advisors as it revives plans stalled by regulatory hurdles. Apple is in talks with ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank and Axis Bank, along with Visa and MasterCard, to launch Apple Pay in India around mid-2026, though the timeline is not final. The service is expected to support UPI as well as credit card payments, entering a market dominated by Google Pay, PhonePe, Amazon Pay and Paytm. The Reserve Bank of India has given the green light for SBI Mutual Fund to acquire a significant stake in Bandhan Bank. The fund house can now hold up to 9.99% of the bank shares. This approval comes with specific conditions and timelines. SBI Mutual Fund must complete the acquisition within 1 year. India will soon see petrol blended with up to 20% ethanol and a minimum octane rating of 95. This mandate begins nationwide from April 1, 2026. The move aims to reduce oil imports and emissions. Ethanol is a cleaner, renewable fuel. Most new vehicles are compatible. This initiative supports farmers by increasing demand for agricultural products. Blue God Entertainment has secured the Legends League cricket rights for 10 years in a ₹49 crore deal. This acquisition grants them commercial rights across media and global distribution. Absolute Legend Sports will now focus on league expansion and new sports ventures. The Central Bureau of Investigation or CBI has registered a fresh case against Anil Ambani and Reliance Communications or RCom for allegedly cheating the Bank of Baroda and causing a loss of over ₹2,220 crore to the bank. The fresh case was registered against Anil Ambani and Reliance Communications following a complaint by Bank of Baroda on Tuesday. In a statement, a CBI spokesperson said that the agency has conducted search operations at Anil Ambani's residence, Reliance Communications office. It added that the agency has recovered various documents related to loan transactions. The government is in talks with smartphone makers for a new incentive scheme as the current production-linked incentive ends next month. Officials are considering an exception to the general rule of single-round incentives due to changing circumstances, including the zeroing of fentanyl tariffs on China and a persistent manufacturing cost disadvantage for Indian players. Netflix has withdrawn its bid for Warner Bros. Discovery, deeming the acquisition financially unattractive after Paramount Skydance raised its offer. Paramount's revised $31 a share proposal is now considered superior, though the deal faces potential antitrust scrutiny and potential concerns. National Asset Reconstruction Company of India or NARCL plans to bid approximately ₹900 crore for Videocon Oil Ventures stressed debt, which has admitted claims of ₹30,640 crore. After months of negotiations and addressing complexities, the bad bank has formalized its offer, potentially leading to a Swiss challenge process. India's financial watchdog NFRA has inspected 10 major audit firms. These include EY, KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, Grant Thornton and BDO. Findings will be released by March end. Inspections focus on audit quality and governance. Some firms show improvement in processes. However, areas like audit independence still needs attention. The government has released draft form number 170 prescribing a comprehensive format for submission of valuation reports under Section 514 of the Income Tax Act. The draft form aims to standardize reporting requirements for valuers and ensure greater transparency, documentation, and uniformity in asset valuation proceedings. The proposed form lays down an extensive structure covering personal details of the assessee, credentials of the registered valuer, and detailed schedules for valuation of different categories of assets. Draft Form number 170 under Section 514 represents a major procedural reform in asset valuation reporting under the income tax framework. By introducing category-specific schedules and technical disclosures, the government aims to create a transparent and standardized valuation ecosystem. Stakeholders, including registered valuers, chartered accountants, and taxpayers, should review the draft carefully and prepare for enhanced reporting requirements once it is officially notified. Banks are stepping up their focus on green deposits, with public sector lenders accounting for the bulk of collections so far. However, growth remains at a nascent stage and total amounts mobilized are still small compared to the overall deposit base of the banking system. Green deposits are a type of fixed deposit that allows investors to invest money in sustainable and eco-friendly initiatives. Any regulatory dispensation, such as relaxation in cash reserve ratio requirements for green deposits, if granted, may improve the unit economics of such deposits. Banks have also stepped up financing to green projects, increasing credit exposure to renewable energy, electric mobility, sustainable infrastructure, and other climate-focused sectors, aligning their portfolios with environmental goals. This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.